Chuckload of Comics is brought to you by Cold War Games, creators of Squarriors, Fight Your Friends, and Lady Death Last Stand. For more information, visit coldwar.us. So check it out, guys. I think you're really going to like Season 2 of Cobra Kai. If you like Season 1,
you're going to love Season 2.
You're going to just eat up Season 2. It's so good. It's so much fun.
It's a blast.
So, let's get into what everybody this week wants to talk about.
Drum roll, please.
We saw Endgame twice
twice
already. We've already seen it twice. At the time of this taping, it's only been out for 2 days. We went to the Thursday sneak peek, the Thursday preview day, crushing at the box office.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It set the new record for Thursday preview days.
By like $11 million.
Yeah, it made $60 million on preview day, and that's only for movies that start at like 7 o'clock. They only had like 3 screenings that day, and it's already broken the record.
That's insane.
For a movie that's 3 hours long. Does not feel like 3 hours.
Not at all.
One of my favorite things about this movie is that it flies by so quickly. They spend so much. There's so much story in this movie. It's an homage to 11 years of filmmaking. It's a big thank you to everybody that was there from the very beginning. If you haven't seen it, this is going to be as kind of a spoiler, very spoiler thing. We're gonna let it all out.
I'm going to tell everything about this movie.
Absolutely everything, guys. Shauna, let me start off with you.
Got it.
We're going to get into our favorite parts and stuff like that of the film. Before we get into all the details, give me one favorite part. What's one of your favorite parts of the entire film?
Thor. Fat Thor.
Fat Thor totally
pretty much
worked.
That first scene where they walk in into Thor's smelly house and Korg and Meek are sitting on the couch playing video games. Like,
on New Asgard.
That is one of my absolute favorite scenes.
The fact that Korg, we know for a fact, survived the snap was so awesome.
Love it.
See him sitting there and they're playing PlayStation.
Oh, hi, mate.
Oh, hi, mate. Sign on to the Wi-Fi. There's no password.
It's free.
It's totally free. Was so good. And there's so many ways they could have screwed up Fat Thor.
For sure.
It could have been such kind of a joke.
Yep.
But it worked.
Yeah.
Because it really shows like all the crap that Thor's been through.
Exactly. I mean, he's been through a lot. We know that. He was stressed out in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that serious moment with Rocket, and
he's lost his mother.
He's
lost his father. He's lost his brother. He's lost his best friend, and somehow he's kept it together. And now he's just pretty much gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
He's like,
Dare
I
I
am
say he
done.
snapped.
He has snapped. Thank you, Shauna. That really works. Andy, do you have a favorite scene? A favorite part of the film?
Personally, I do. It's when Ant-Man is being debriefed on everything that's going on, and you see Snork. You see Thor, just like Shauna said, for the first time, like snap out. Dare I say? I'm sorry. Wake up from his drunk trance. He comes up and he actually speaks.
That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm Thor. This is how I would do it. And he just marks down his whole plan.
He almost starts crying in that scene because they bring up the picture of Jane Foster and he's like, yeah, we used to date.
Yeah.
And
she's an old flame of mine.
An old flame of mine. That was a beautiful scene. So many amazing scenes.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, right from the start of the film. I mean, before you even see the in-game title card, they pack so much into the first like 3 minutes of the film. In the first maybe 5 minutes of the film, you see Hawkeye. Yes. You see Hawkeye training his daughter how to do archery. This beautiful family scene of all of them just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And then bam, they all get dusted.
Something I noticed the second time around is he's wearing an ankle monitor. He's under house arrest.
That was interesting too. I noticed that too.
I was like,
why is he wearing an ankle monitor?
I have no
Leave
idea.
a comment if you know why Hawkeye's wearing an ankle monitor.
Please do.
Remember why he was doing that. I mean, I do remember in Infinity War them referencing that Hawkeye and Scott were under house arrest, but I'm not quite sure why he's under.
Okay, so he's just still under house arrest because that takes place at the same time as Ant-Man.
Right.
So I guess we should all watch
pre-snap
Ant-Man 1 now. Just you know.
Yeah, or Civil War. Because remember, they were both in jail at the end of Civil War.
Okay, that's right.
Well, moving on.
Man. Okay, so even before the first title sequence, you see the Hawkeye thing. Then you see Tony Stark in space with Nebula. He's about to die. The big scene that we see in the trailers where he's sending this last message to Pepper Potts.
Yep.
Nebula puts him in the seat. And he's just ready to die. He's out of oxygen. He's out of food. He's ready to die. And who comes flying in but Captain Marvel? Everybody kind of assumed that Captain Marvel would be the one to save him, from space. But the fact that they did that so quickly was really surprising. And they brought him down. And I mean, everything. It blows my mind at how much they crammed into this film before the title sequence even came out.
I know.
And right before the title card dropped, they orchestrate this whole plan of how to go get Thanos. They talk about how he used the stones one last time. Nebula says, I know exactly where he is. For the whole time we were orchestrating this plan with the stones, he always said he was going to go to the garden. So she knows. Yeah. She knows where they are. And then you see Captain America curse for like the first time. Mr. Bad Language, always on Tony for using bad language. The last word you see before the title card is...
Let's kill this son of a bitch.
Captain America saying, let's go kill this son of a bitch. And the crowd went wild.
And then it's... Dun, 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 dun.
Then beautiful Alan Silvestri score kicks in. I don't know if you guys saw it in the same theater environment that we did, but our theater went batshit crazy when Captain America said, let's go kill this bastard.
This son of a bitch.
First of many rounds of applause in that movie.
Perfect.
And how about that scene when they go and they find Thanos sitting there making a pot of soup?
Yeah, he's just minding his own business.
Minding his own business, collecting fruit.
Right.
Some spiky, weird fruit.
Spiky, weird, I don't know what kind of fruit that was, some weird space fruit. And they just come flying in. Captain America comes flying in, gets him in a chokehold. Captain Marvel comes flying in, puts him in a chokehold, and then Thor comes rolling in, chops his arm off.
Yeah.
What they should have done from the very beginning.
Yeah, right?
Is go right for the arm. Screw going for the head. Go for the arm.
Well, I think they had to get him stationed enough, to be able to get the arm.
What I actually, to myself, liked the most about that scene is it gave an actual description of the size of
the gauntlet.
Thanos.
Oh, Thanos. Period.
Thanos himself, compared to the other Avengers, illustrated how massive he was as an actual being.
Yeah. I liked
20 feet tall.
I liked Josh Brolin Thanos in that scene.
Oh,
it was right out of the comics. He had just become a farmer. He was just like sitting around watching the sunrise on a grateful universe, or so he thought.
Right.
And then bam, arm chopped off. He says, I am inevitable. And then they realize there's no stones.
Yeah.
And he tells them the last time I used the stones was to destroy the stones. So the stones are gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No more stones. And so what does Thor do? Thor can't handle this realization, lops his head off, chops Thanos' head off. Something that happens in the comics pretty often. Thanos seems to get his head chopped off every now and again in the comics.
Only way to kill him.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And kill him they do, and then everybody just looks at Thor like, what the hell did you just do? And that finally solidifies Thor's final spiral into just sadness and madness and darkness.
His response
I went for the head.
Went for the head. Yep.
and then that's it. Like he's just so bummed. And then and then the whole screen goes black and it says 5 years later.
Yeah.
And then he gained like 85 pounds.
And then he gained like 100
which
pounds.
Which we find out a little later, which is perfect.
But what was so cool after the 5 years later, I give much respect to Black Widow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Black Widow is the only person still carrying the flag for the Avengers.
Yeah, and she has not been anywhere near one of my favorite characters in this entire franchise.
Yep.
But I loved her in this movie. She held her own. It was great.
She was great.
I agree with Shauna.
She's just sitting there. She's the only one at Avengers headquarters. Everybody else has moved on. Yep. Everybody else is off doing their thing. And she's
Cap
like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here. Let's talk about Cap's little man group.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Joe Russo.
Yeah.
An amazing, fun cameo with Joe Russo. And you got Cap. It's kind of a nod to when Falcon is teaching, or he's doing group therapy from, was it...
was that
Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier, yeah.
The first time Falcon meets Captain America, Falcon was doing the group therapy thing.
Yeah.
And so this is now Captain doing the group therapy thing.
That's awesome.
And who is sitting at the group but Jim Starlin? That awesome. Jim Starlin cameo was so good. Not only was he just sitting there, they could have just left him sitting there, but they actually gave him a line.
I know.
Which was so cool, guys.
Perfect.
Jim Starlin is one of our regulars on Chuckload of Comics. We've interviewed him. He's been on the show before. Here's a link to it right here. Check it out. We sat down with Jim Starlin for a little while. We talked about the creation of Thanos, the movies,
who he had envisioned to act and play Thanos.
Who he actually thought would play it. So when we saw him on stage, it hit a little bit of feels here at Chuckload of Comics to see Jim Starlin on the big screen.
It was perfect.
Such a great nod. But it was at this point in the movie, it's very down. Yeah. It's very sad. And then they cut to San Francisco. Bam! Enter Ant-Man.
It was great.
Ant-Man finally comes out of the quantum tunnel.
Thanks to a little mouse.
A mouse?
Yeah,
a little rat.
That was funny.
Saves the day.
Right? None of this would have happened without that little rat.
that one rat walking over the control panel that activated the quantum tunnel that shat Ant-Man out in the middle of his storage unit.
Ant-Man was the first part of lightheartedness into the film, and that was like 22 minutes into the film. Mm-hmm. Before, it's just been like, Thor being angry, Cap, trying to curse and stuff.
Yeah.
The first,
there was no lightheartedness,
non-violent lightheartedness until Ant-Man shits out through the back of a VA bus.
Yeah, but even he was kind of dark up until later on in the film.
He had no idea what was going on.
He was totally
walking
confused.
around.
To him, it had been 5 hours.
Right.
He didn't realize it was 5 years had passed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, kid, stop. What's actually going on? The kid's just completely shell shocked still.
Everybody kind of assumed Ant-Man would be the sort of comic relief fun. What surprised me, the real comic relief of the movie was the Hulk.
Right?
Did not see that coming. The character that I think stole the show more than anybody else was Professor Hulk.
I agree.
The fact that, because I didn't like Bruce Banner in Infinity War.
No,
he was very whiny. He was very just kind of like, he was just kind of this nervous, weird,
slapstick.
Yeah.
Very unlike Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Totally made it back in spades this time. Big time.
Perfect.
The perfect mixture of really good CGI, really good motion performance capture technology with the way he acted. He acted the character perfectly.
Mark Ruffalo nailed it.
Who knew Mark Ruffalo? I mean, they hinted a little bit of that in Ragnarok, where, Ruffalo and Hulk can be a little bit comedic, but still be kind of serious, and they really brought it home in this one.
Yeah.
When they're sitting in the diner and he's... I don't know if you saw it, because we've seen the movie twice. He had a huge bowl of scrambled eggs, a giant plate of sausage links. He had like all these like breakfast burritos, so much food, and all these kids come over and he's like, "Say green." So good. Such a lovable character.
As kids
he's like,
away.
Hulk out.
Yeah, that's funny.
So good. It was so awesome.
It's perfect.
And then, of course, Ant-Man. You want a picture of me? I'm Ant-Man. And kids are like, yeah, who the hell are you?
Who the hell is Ant-Man?
Nobody knows who Ant-Man is. I noticed nobody wanted to take a picture with Captain America.
I was just going to say that. I was like, they didn't recognize Captain America, but whatever.
Yeah. Hulk's the lovable one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God. And then we get into the time travel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they threw everything up to this point. Marvel movies, the entire MCU has been, what's it going to look like if it takes place in real life, in the real world. Everything was very much grounded in reality.
Yep.
This movie, they were like, you know what? Let's give the comic book fans a real comic book movie, something that feels like the comics. Because if you read the comics, time travel is a common thing.
Yeah, for sure.
In Marvel comics, they use it all the time.
Yep.
It's like, okay, there's a problem. Let's assemble a team.
Okay, let's time travel.
Yeah, let's assemble a big team and then possibly go back in time and fix it.
Right.
It's a really common thing, which I'm wondering what like the casual movie going audience thought about the time travel thing. Because if you're a comic book fan, it's like second nature.
Yeah, exactly.
I was worried. I thought it would come off as low hanging fruit, a nice quick out just to create a new film. But they merged the whole time travel well, where it just had no seams. It went completely. I totally approve of it.
Yeah, when they go back, just the fact that, I mean, we kind of assumed that this is what was going to happen.
Right.
They were going to go back in time. I didn't know if they were going to go back in time and collect Avengers and bring them back, or what they were going to do. But we all kind of assumed they would go do something with the stones.
Sure.
But it was just, even expecting it, I was taken aback when we first went to New York. And we first saw that big camera pan around of all the Avengers
assembled
in Manhattan.
Yes.
It was just like, oh God, you got all the feels, man. Like that's another time when the whole crowd just went crazy.
Yep.
But then you cut over to the alley, and it's our time traveling heroes that pop in, and again, the Hulk killed that scene, absolutely crushed it. You see a Hulk of the Battle in New York come by and just start smashing things and smashing things and smashing things. And then you cut to Professor Hulk, and he's just like, oh, Jesus. He's so embarrassed at the way he used to act.
He used to act so angry and violent.
Yeah.
Just being all PC.
And then Cap's like, look, go that way, complete your mission, and try to smash a couple things on the way. And he's like, well, it feels a little bit gratuitous, but okay. And he walks out and he's like, and punching stuff randomly.
That's funny.
That whole New York scene was great. Like when they went up to the top of Stark Tower, and you get to see they got Loki in custody, and that was all great. And the the Hulk stare scene,
yes,
was so funny.
That was great. Too.
Hulk was the Groot of the entire movie. You had
really
Hulk was killing it, and Thor was killing it.
Yeah,
those two absolutely just crushed it
Yep.
on the comedic sense, even more than Ant-Man.
One of the best lines came out of that scene too, where Tony Stark's telling Cap, "Yeah, that old uniform didn't do anything for your ass," and Scott says,
like,
"That's America's ass."
That's America's ass. So, and then they talk about it later when, oh my God, when you get to see Captain America fight Captain America.
That's
was
comic
cool.
book stuff. I'm sorry.
Never saw that coming.
Yeah, that's some serious comic book crap right there, where you have different main. It's like it's no big thing to have two alpha males, fighting each other. Now you have Captain versus Captain plus X.
Shield
XYZ
versus
years.
Shield.
Yeah,
man.
that was
when
another
the two
great
shields
line.
clash.
Yeah.
Oh God, I was just like, oh my God, we're about to see. It was an amazingly choreographed scene. But go ahead, Sean.
I was saying that was another great line when past Cap says, "I could do this all day," and future Cap goes,
I know. Because they've said that line so many times. It's like
great.
when Cap said it, oh my God, Jesus, here we go. And then
and
they
he even
made
rolled
a joke
his eyes
out
at
of it.
himself.
And then the elevator scene. Holy crap! When he gets in the elevator, the throwback to the elevator scene in Winter Soldier,
Yep.
when he gets in there with all the Hydra agents. This time he knows they're all Hydra agents, and he says, "I've talked to the
Whoever the person in charge.
yeah. I've talked to the director."
There you go.
The director, and he says, "I'm taking point on the scepter." And you're like, no, you can't do it. And he leans in and says, "Hail Hydra!" And then the elevator doors open, and he walks right out. Beautiful little nod to the comic books of when Captain America turned into a Hydra agent.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So much fun.
I'm still shocked, and it was done so epically. How they morph the past films to pay homage of how far they couldn't have gotten this far if it wasn't for the films before.
Exactly.
And they show the actual old film, but they somewhat superimpose the real life in games into the old classic movies. It just blew my mind.
It was awesome.
Yeah, Robert
mind.
Redford came back. I mean, everybody came back for this film.
Yeah.
Except for Paul Bettany. There's no Vision.
Yeah, there's no Vision.
No Vision. I would have liked to have seen him put Paul Bettany in there somewhere. I understand Vision's dead.
Right.
There's no Vision in the past, but it would have been nice to see them put Paul Bettany maybe in there as a cameo somewhere.
Sure.
Speaking of cameos, I liked Stan Lee's cameo. As he's
that was great.
He's driving through it. It's young Stan Lee. It's Stan Lee, and he flies by. He's like, "Hey, make love, not war."
Yeah.
And that was it. Like that was the whole thing. His final cameo was beautiful. It was Stan Lee in the 70s.
I'm actually pleased because I was under the assumption that the last major Marvel film was his last.
Yeah, I thought
cameo.
his Mallrats cameo was going to be the last one, but it wasn't.
No.
They put him in there.
That was perfect.
And oh my God, how about that Howard Stark scene?
That was great.
When they go back, that was the first moment in the film when I was like, you know what? Tony's going to die. Tony's going to die. Tony is running into his father. That is a foreshadowing. He is wrapping up all of his inner demons. He meets his father. He tells his father that he has a granddaughter without, saying it.
Right.
But
he says, "I have a daughter." Yeah.
In his mind, he told his father that the Stark family will live on.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. And they talked about how Howard's wife is about to have a kid. The phone's ringing over there.
Which turns out to be
Tony. Yeah.
It was epic.
It was so beautiful, that entire scene.
And just the fact of how the Russo brothers wrote that in there for them to have to go back to the 70s because they needed more
PIM particles.
And they lost the Tesseract.
They
which
lost
we
the
didn't
Tesseract.
address yet either about how in the scene when they went back to New York, Loki ends up with the Tesseract and then disappears.
Loki snatched the Tesseract and hauled ass.
That's one bad thing I have to say about the film because I noticed that.
Yeah, where did he go?
We don't know where he went.
I don't know. If you know where he went, please leave us a comment.
But yeah, how they built that in there of how them going back to the 70s and then you see Captain America sees Peggy Carter and she's
he sees his own picture on the desk as young, skinny, scrawny. The fact that Peggy Carter still has a picture of Cap on her desk.
No.
20 years after he's been lost in the ice is beautiful in and of itself.
Right.
Those tiny little Easter eggs really made the movie special.
So cool.
What did you feel about Black Widow being tossed over the edge?
I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about that. The Vormir scene in this one, I was almost more emotional in this one than I was in the last one.
I definitely agree.
Because you had Black Widow and Hawkeye fighting each other to decide who was going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
They were both... Because in Infinity War, Thanos just chucked her off. Hurled Gamora off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
This one, they were ready to just take one for the team, sacrifice themselves for the greater good.
They both had their own inner demons that they were dealing with.
Right.
I think
had their own reasoning.
Both of them were looking for an out of the pain
they kind of were
having in the world. Both of them wanted to die.
Yeah, and it was a beautifully choreographed fight scene between them all. It was right out of Mission Impossible.
I know. I love it.
Tom Cruise could not have done it better.
I love
that
it when
fight
you think
scene.
Hawkeye is running and he actually makes that leap, and then Black Widow launches whatever at him and pulls him back in.
Well, first Black Widow's making the run, and then Hawkeye pulls out an explosive arrow and blows her off to the side. And Red Skull's just watching this all go down. He's like, I don't care which one of you dies, but one of you guys has to die.
That's so
it was really emotional. And then that Alan Silvestri score kicks in. That Vormir theme is
beautiful.
so iconic.
I agree.
And we've only heard it twice, but every time I hear it, it's just this emotional, wonderful theme.
That's what it's connected.
The entire score, like you got to give mad props to Alan Silvestri for writing what is probably the greatest score since Star Wars.
Yeah,
like everybody has their own little theme, and the fact that we've heard it over a course of so many movies, it's become just a part of the film.
Yep.
Like the music's become as much of a part of the film as the characters.
Absolutely.
It's like
like Star Wars.
It's like freaking Star Wars.
It's like John Williams.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wish they close ties on is Red Skull being the keeper of the Soul Stone.
I would like to see where Red Skull goes after this.
I would like to know.
Now that, like, once he completes his mission, can he just leave? Can he just walk away?
And where is he going?
That's a very good point. But they do have to return all the Soul Stones at the end, or the stones at the end. So they have to return.
How did they return the Soul
Vormir.
Stone?
I don't know. I guess they just brought it back to Vormir.
Good point.
I don't know. Something to ponder, people.
All right, guys, let's rip off the Band-Aid. The biggest battle scene I've seen on the big screen in recent memory. Like, not only is this the biggest epic battle scene we've seen in the MCU ever, it's one of the biggest battle scenes of all time.
Yep.
And the way they set it up was so perfectly. We're skipping over a lot of stuff, obviously. But, oh my God, that scene was... The last hour of this movie was unbelievably epic.
Yeah.
Insanely epic. Just the fact that Thanos was just sitting there waiting for them.
Yeah.
To come. He's like, he sends Nebula
after
off.
He crashes his spaceship into the into
that scene when he comes out of the quantum tunnel. So they all come out of the quantum tunnel. They got the stones. Hulk makes the gauntlet, reverses the snap. Birds are chirping, phones are ringing, everybody's happy, and then bam! Thanos' ship comes out of this tunnel and just blows the roof off of Avengers headquarters.
Yep.
And then instantly just starts dropping bombs on it. Doesn't even blow it up smallly. He blows it up in a big way.
It was so depressing.
This was like an atom bomb going off on Avengers headquarters. It's not just dusted. It is a hole in the ground.
I felt the same way how you felt about Stark paying, closure to his dad, how that, just marked Tony for death. As soon as I saw the whole Avengers building get destroyed, I was like, it's fucking over, man.
It was like the Millennium Falcon blowing up. It was like, oh my God, this is it. And we've only got like six Avengers, like 6 or 7 Avengers hanging out, and then Thanos walks out and brings like an army of millions of the scariest creatures I've seen since the Two Towers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what? All right, this is the best battle scene I've seen since Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Right.
That was a beautiful scene.
Agreed.
And then it's great. So it's an army of millions of people versus 6 Avengers.
Right.
And then Cap starts. He hears a voice. He hears a voice in his headphones, and who is it? But it's Falcon. It's Sam. Sam's like, hey, Cap.
He says,
and you're like, oh my God. He's like, it's Sam.
On your left.
On your left. Crowd goes nuts. Theater absolutely erupts. And then, boom, what do you see? You see Doctor Strange's little portal opening up.
That was cool.
And who comes out but Black Panther?
Yeah.
And Shuri and Okoye, and then the camera pans up, and there's an army of Wakandans behind him, ready to lay waste. And like, oh god, it's fucking on. And then 12 more portals open up, and everybody flies out of this thing. You got all of Doctor Strange comes out, and then you pan down, and it's the Guardians, and it's Scarlet Witch, it's the Guardian. Drax is ready
Spider-Man
for battle, big time, and then in the background, Spider-Man starts swinging in.
Oh, it's so cool.
You're like, oh my god, it is so on. If it wasn't on before, it is so on.
You got the
now.
Valkyrie coming through.
Then the Valkyries start flying out on their Pegasus horses. You're like, oh my god, this is going to be the greatest battle ever. And then you cut up to Captain America finally uttering the words. He says, he screams out, Avengers! And then he says really quietly, assemble. And then bam, the theme kicks in, and it's the greatest battle in the history of battles.
That's funny.
So incredible. And the battle scene was like nothing I've ever seen. If it couldn't get any better, Ant-Man comes out as Giant Man, explodes out huge, and just starts stepping on people. I mean, we've seen the movie twice. I could watch the movie 10,000 more times and still catch things I never saw before.
Yep. I know.
It was
great.
Nuts.
And then also, because as the battle is going on, they're still trying to keep the stones away from Thanos.
Yeah.
So the glove is being tossed around, and then Peter Parker ends up with the glove, and he's nestling it, and Captain Marvel comes over and says, here, I'll take that for you. And he says, how are you going to get through all of this? And then suddenly all these powerful females start coming down and lining up behind her and say, we will help her.
The introduction of A-Force.
That
was
right there.
Cool.
That's
super cool.
Your first look at the A-Force team.
That was beautiful.
If you're unfamiliar with who A-Force is, they are the female Avengers group, the strongest group of females on the planet in the galaxy. We get to see A-Force for the first time, all teamed together. It was kind of funny when, like you were talking about, when Peter's kind of huddling on the thing, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker," and she says, "Hi, Peter Parker." Something about Brie Larson I really like.
I know, I like her.
She's such a sweet, sweet actress.
Yeah,
so awesome.
You know, she's not tough like Black Widow and stuff.
Yeah,
and she's not like
she's just cool.
A very smart, articulate person. Like
she's just fun.
Gamora.
Yeah.
Every time she winks or smiles, you're just like, "Oh, you're awesome.
Yeah.
I like you a lot."
I like her too.
I like her new haircut.
I do too.
Just like right out of the comics. She goes from long blonde hair to short blonde hair.
Yep. Now she just needs to.
And how about that Mjolnir scene with Captain America?
Oh, that was awesome.
That Force Awakens Rey scene when Mjolnir goes flying off, and then it stops in midair, and then turns around and flies right past Thor, right past Thanos. Captain America catches it. Crowd erupts,
and
for
Thor
like
goes,
the fifth time, and then Thor's like, "Yes, I knew it." So, and then there was no like jealousy. Like Thor was happy that Captain America was, because he was nervous in Age of Ultron when Captain America went to lift it and it shoves, it nudges just a little bit. Thor gets all nervous, but now he's like, you know what? I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Cap.
Well, he also had Stormbreaker too, so he's got two.
That was another great scene
now.
when they switch hammers and Thor's like, I want the big one.
You take the little one.
You take the little one, I'll take the big one. He's really become fond of the axe more so than...
Why not?
So, now that the whole series is done, which Avengers are you guys going to miss the most? Personally, which was your favorite Avengers of Shauna
character or movie?
No, actual characters.
Miss Iron Man. He's not coming back.
No, I mean, which one would you consider your favorite one?
My favorite character?
My favorite character by all time.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And I am so excited about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I know.
If I wasn't excited about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I'm sorry, I'm totally avoiding your question.
No.
But Thor, like right now, it changes. It changes. Right now, I'm super stoked about Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
Very excited about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, almost more than anything else out there.
For sure.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be amazing. The Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be one of the greatest movies of all time.
Also,
is that going to have Thor in it?
I think it's going to have, without a doubt.
Thor is now on the ship.
Thor is now on the ship.
Another great scene with Thor and Star-Lord. I love those from Infinity War, and I loved it in Endgame. Like
one of the best scenes
between the two of them is the best.
Yeah, one of the best scenes of Infinity War was when Thor is on the ship and Star-Lord's impersonating him and trying to lower his voice and like be all mean.
Why are you imitating the God-Man?
The way you're imitating the God-Man. This is the way I talk. What are you talking about? Are you mocking me? So good. And to know that we're going to get a movie with that their dynamic is so perfect.
The chemistry.
So great. The chemistry is phenomenal.
And Chris Hemsworth, directed by James Gunn. Oh my god!
How can you not be excited about Chris Hemsworth being directed by James Gunn?
And given a script from James Gunn.
Give me that movie
crap.
now.
I know,
I
right?
could not be more stoked about that.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Favorite scene of the Endgame, Chuck? What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene of Endgame. That's a really tough question.
Shauna?
Well, no.
I mean, mine was, we said that in the beginning. Mine was Thor.
My favorite scene was probably the beginning of the battle scene. When because you forget that everybody's back. When you hear Sam's voice coming through and then you start seeing
portals,
all the portals open up. That's
pretty epic.
That was the scene where the hairs raised up on my arm.
You knew that the crap has hit the fan at that scene.
But you got to talk about the death of Tony Stark.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, oh my God, that was. It wasn't the death itself. Didn't bring the waterworks. It was the funeral.
Yeah, agreed.
The funeral is what really got people in the theater crying. And we were in the theater. People were bawling so loudly that everybody in the theater was laughing at the people that were bawling so loudly. It was that crazy. People were crying like
very loudly.
It was like we were at a funeral
I know.
in that theater. It was so amazing and so touching and so awesome that fandom reached through and actually touched people that much.
Yeah.
But when Pepper comes out with the wreath, with the arc reactor from the first one that says, proof that Tony Stark has a heart, lays it in the lake, pushes it out, and then the camera pans back and everybody's there.
Everybody there.
It was such a comic book moment to see everybody at the funeral, right out of the comics, right when Captain America died and you pan back and all the comic book characters are standing around Captain America's deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
It was great.
And everybody was in their little groups, and it just panned, and it was like, okay, you got Hulk, you got Captain America, you got everybody, and they go, and it's the Guardians are there, the Ant-Man crew is there, and Hank Pym is there, the Wakandans are there, everybody.
Fury showed up at the end.
And then it pans up to the cabin, and who walks out the first and only time you see Nick Fury in the movie? Mm-hmm. The guy that started it all. You didn't see Nick Fury through the whole film, but he's at Tony's funeral.
Yeah.
Everybody cried.
I know.
So amazing.
On a more personal note, I make it a mission myself for next week. I forget the actual date coming up. I will watch Iron Man 1. I'm going to watch
Captain America 1.
Captain America 1. I'm making a list because I want actual closure now. I saw an epic that pretty much.
It makes you want to revisit.
I want to learn
already.
That movie makes you want to go back. Like if you were new to the MCU and you saw this movie,
watch them.
You want to go back.
Oh yeah,
perfect marketing, Disney.
So now I have no reason to be bored at the house.
Yeah, you're excited to go back and revisit them all.
Yeah,
I watched
except for Thor: The Dark World. You can kind of skip that one.
We can always skip Thor too.
Last thing I want to touch on, guys. If it wasn't like you could have rolled the credits right after that funeral.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You did. You had one more epic emotional scene, and of course that was Captain America returning the stones back to their respective timelines.
Yes. As to not
before he did that,
anything.
He picked up Mjolnir and took it with him.
He did take it with him.
How cool was that? So you got Captain America going back through time. I want to see that movie.
Yeah, right?
Show me the movie of Captain America going back and returning the stones with his shield, with the hammer.
That's pretty cool.
You got a movie right
there.
Give
me that movie,
you got a movie right there.
Give me that show on Disney streaming service. I'll watch that show all day long.
I like where you're going with that.
But ironically, he didn't come back with the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
He came back. I mean, obviously, you've seen the movie. He goes back in time. Hulk can't bring him back, and then they look over, and there's an old man standing on a bench or sitting on a bench. It wasn't standing on a bench. That'd have been weird. Standing on a bench. He's sitting on a bench with his back turned to the camera. He's got his shield, and then Bucky and Sam walk up, and in an ultimate act of torch passing, Bucky says to Sam, "You go. You go talk to him," because Sam's been there from day one.
Yeah.
Sam was the first guy to really talk to him after he came out of the ice.
Yep.
They were buddies, and he has always been in Cap's corner the entire time.
It's perfect.
And then, man, when you cut to Cap in his old age makeup, with the wedding ring,
yeah,
and it wasn't so much that Sam was happy to see him. Sam was just happy that he lived a life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was proud that, oh my God, Andy's crying. Sam was happy that Cap finally lived a good life.
And he sees the ring.
He was all smiles. He wasn't sad.
Yeah, and he says, "Do you want to tell me about her?" And he says, "I don't think I will." And
He's like, "No, I don't think I will."
Go back, and you see
that was so heavy.
Cap dancing with
Peggy.
With Peggy for the first time.
That was beautiful. But before you see that, you see him handing off the shield.
Yes.
So you got Sam. Falcon's going to be the new Captain America.
That was very cool. That was a very
so
nice
good.
It was perfect.
Segue into a different,
Well, we're going to have the
films.
show on the streaming service,
Yeah.
which is going to be beautiful.
So the Bucky
Sam
Falcon show is going to be, I hope, him training himself to be the new Captain America. And who better to train Sam to be Captain America than Winter Soldier, than Bucky Barnes?
Love
That's
it.
so cool.
What a fucking incredible movie.
I know, right?
I mean, I haven't really talked about this film as much as I will because it just came out.
Right.
But it's a phenomenal movie.
Really, it is, man. The more I talk about it, the more I love it.
I know.
The more I want to go see it again.
Fan service, and it just they did right for all of us. They did right by the comic book fans. They did right by the people that grew up with these movies for the past 11 years that didn't read the comics. I mean, Russo brothers, you killed it. Thank you.
Total closure.
They did. Thank you, Marvel, for 11 years, 23 films that have just really changed everybody's lives.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
You.
Marvel.
All right,
thank you,
And
Stan
Russo
Lee.
brothers.
Let's say something happy.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
freaking John Favreau for
Thank you,
making
John
Iron
Favreau,
Man.
for making this whole thing happen.
Right.
Who is he? Another
started it.
beautiful scene.
Yes.
That
with
was the
Happy
saddest scene
and
of the whole
Favreau
movie.
daughter.
happy sitting down with little Morgan Stark,
And he says,
saying,
"I'll get
"What do you?
anything.
I'll get you whatever you want. What do you want?"
Cheeseburgers.
He's like, "I want cheeseburgers." He's like,
dad
"Oh, your
loved
dad loved cheeseburgers," because he was always asking. He was always wanting cheeseburgers. He was
Yeah.
always eating cheeseburgers
That was
while he's
so
working on
sad.
in Avengers 1. He's always eating cheeseburgers in his. Oh my God, this
And
movie is so
I
good.
know. That little girl that played Morgan
Was
Stark,
great.
she was adorable. The whole
was.
"I love you 3000."
Oh my God, I Love You 3000 was. If you weren't crying by the time they were re-showing his little his recorded scene, and he
yeah.
looks at his daughter and says, "I love you 3000." Niagara Falls.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolute Niagara Falls.
I think one of the saddest parts for me through the whole film was, like you said, when John's hanging out with Stark's kid. And he's like, I'll give you anything you want. At that point, my heart just,
Cheeseburgers.
screw it.
Oh, your father liked cheeseburgers.
It was so emotional.
So sad.
Wow.
So good.
Aw.
Wow.
But-
Well, I don't know how to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's all stuff we can go back and revisit. That's the beauty of cinema.
It's
We
the
have
beauty.
it all at our
It's the
fingertips.
beauty of
now.
fandom.
We can watch them anytime we want.
Can I have a cheeseburger?
Sure.
You can have whatever you want, Andy. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. What a fun time we've had talking about Avengers Endgame. Leave us a comment. Let us know some of your favorite scenes. This has been an emotional show. I've really enjoyed this show. So, guys, join us here every single Sunday for a breakdown of the nerdy news of the week. We do it. It's like headline news for nerds, man. We try to break down all the nerdy news, TV shows, movies, comic books, everything happening in the world of
Sometimes
fandoms. Sometimes we actually talk about comics and not just movies. Click the subscribe button if you made it all the way through this incredibly long video. We really appreciate your patronage. It's snowing outside in the city of Chicago, which is blowing my mind because it's April.
Yep, almost May.
Can we talk about that for a bit?
Let's not talk
No,
about the weather. We'll save
that's
that for next
depressing.
episode. Guys, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic week. Go see Endgame. We'll see you here next Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.